Welcome to RTH Gaming Monthly.
This month we're going to take a look back at September 2017.
And we're going to talk about some of our favorite games that just don't make the table enough. For RTH Gaming, I'm Chip.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Lucas. Last month, I expanded our Adventures in Solo Gaming line of videos with two videos. The first one was Viva Java, the coffee game, the dice game. And in this one, from the solo perspective, you're rolling your dice trying to beat one of two corporations. One of those corporations has a special ability that the stronger it gets, the more dice it can re-roll, therefore making better combinations. And the other one adds in more of the flavor dice, which are the black dice, which include a wild side, so that kind of gives them the ability to get better combinations. That's the version that I played. It's a really neat little solo game. I enjoyed it. It's a bit of a roll and write thing. And then the second one was Dice City. I guess this was the solo dice month. But in this one, you're going to roll your dice, place them out on a gridded board that you have, and build up your city to either gain victory points through the different buildings you put in place, or go on a military rampage against the bandits and score points that way up against a standard to get 50 points to win. So those were the two videos I put up this month.
We also put together a 15 favorite miniatures games. That's where each of us put together a list of our favorite games with miniatures involved, and we gave you 15 individual distinct games that we thought were amazing.
Well, for my game of the month, it's going to be one that recently got into Shadows of Brimstone. This is a Wild West dungeon crawling game. And man, I really enjoyed playing it. We got our first play the other night, and it was all that I hoped for. It had the feeling of Descent, Imperial Assault, that style, if you're familiar with dungeon crawls. But in the wild weird west setting, with tentacles and Cthulhu monsters and all kinds of stuff. So really fun, and there seems to be a pretty good campaign system behind it. So hopefully that'll get back to our table pretty quick, and we'll have some more adventures in the weird wild west of Shadows of Brimstone.
I really enjoyed that game. I love the RPG of Deadlands, and so being able to take that theme and bring it to an actual board game, I loved it. It was amazing.
I did kind of feel that way, right? I guess you could take it more role playing if you wanted to, and really put on the characters and stuff. Yeah, had that feel. Yeah,
I kind of put Dungeons and Dragons and Paizo's Pathfinder in the same category. When I say D&D, I could be talking about either one of those. And Deadlands has always been after that, number two for me. So really enjoyed the theme. The only thing I didn't care for was the town phase after the journey through the mine. But you mentioned the suggestion that you do the town phase first. That way you can end with the adventure, and I think that'll be a really good change. Yeah. But I did enjoy it. I really enjoyed playing that one.
Well, for my game of the month, this actually came off of my most anticipated list, and that was Escape from 100 Million BC. It's another hit by Kevin Wilson, brought to us by IDW. In this game, it's a cooperative game, and you're in this ship, and you're going back into prehistoric times, and there's a time warp involved. You're yanking characters from the timeline into the prehistoric era, kind of like JFK was one of them, Abraham Lincoln was another. But you busted up your ship, so you have to go out and pick up all these parts of your ship to repair it so that you can go back to the future. So I really, really did love this game. It kind of reminded me, and you had mentioned once before, of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. But it was like a Euro game with so much theme in it that I was just engrossed the whole way through. Loved it, loved it, loved it.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that. I really, really enjoyed that. It gave me the feeling I get when I play Eldritch Horror.
Okay.
And I absolutely loved that game, but man, it kicked the snot out of us. I mean, that game is hard because you've got to make sure that you don't leave anything that would contaminate the timeline. If you leave the phaser behind, then everything's going to turn out different. I loved it, but it was hard.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this game. I like the exploration aspect to it, and they have different regions of the board that you can go. Some regions are more difficult than others, or have the possibility of being more difficult than others. So it's a neat explorer game, and then, but yeah, like you said, man, it'll beat you down if you don't watch out. It kind of all comes to a head.
Yeah. My game of the month for September is another one from Portal Games, and that's what caught my attention on the shelf. And at this point, they might as well auto-debit my credit card, because it was another one that I really, really enjoyed, and that was Legacy, The Testament of Duke Decreci. And in this one, you open the box, and there's a handwritten letter in there from Duke Decreci, and he's basically telling you, I lived my life to see others succeed, and I silently manipulated things behind the scenes to see that would happen, and now my name is forgotten because I didn't promote myself or my family in any way. And what you're trying to do is, make couples to make kids, marry them off to, wealthy folks, build mansions, make investments, all of this stuff to build up your family tree and your lasting legacy over the course of 3 generations of play. It's got a little bit of worker placement, some on your board, some in the middle. So we didn't find the blocking too bad, really. But overall, a really, really neat package and a fun journey as you build that family tree out, and you get bonuses based on these different nationalities in your tree. And you could get a dowry when you marry someone, or maybe you have to pay because you're trying to get into that bloodline. Overall, a really nice package, an enjoyable game. Probably checked in at 90 minutes. I had a blast.
Oh yeah, it ended sooner than I anticipated, or sooner than I wanted it to, because I was building up this great legacy, and at the end of it, I was like, oh no, all this stuff that I'd done at the end wasn't going to kick off because there wasn't going to be another generation afterwards. So, but it was a really interesting game. Building those out, and I really did enjoy it.
Those are our games of the month. Well, the month of September was a big month for us in our Shelf of Shame. We want to give you an update. For those of you just joining us, we started in January. We took an accounting of all of the games on our shelf that we had never played. And to our, not even chagrin, just to our shame, our utter disappointment, we had 119 titles that we owned but had never played. And when we say we're talking kind of into our game group of 5 players. None of us had played these games. So we compiled that list, we started keeping track, and we committed ourselves to play as many of them as we could throughout the year with the goal of wiping them out by the end of the year. To date, this month of September is going to mark a milestone. We have surpassed the 119 game mark. So as of this month, we have played as many games as were originally on our list. Unfortunately, along the way, a number of games have been added. So the current standing right now, 15 games played for September. Another 7 were added, so we're 8 up for the month. And that brings us to a total of 122 games played since January 1st. And so we celebrate our milestone, yay, with 62 games remaining on the shelf. So we'll talk about some of our highlights and disappointments. For me, I want to call off first, this month was a highlight for me was coming home to the huge box from Cool Mini or Not sitting on my doorstep, and my Massive Darkness Kickstarter had arrived. And so I have plenty of miniatures to paint and a pretty good game there. I cracked it open and just on a whim set it up for a 1-player game, played through it so that I would not be adding to the Shelf of Shame. And then my daughter and I played it in 2-player, and it really holds up. It's a bit of an evolution on Zombicide Black Plague, for those of you who are familiar with that. Sort of a dungeon crawly, kind of tile dungeon crawly, but also a little bit of elements of, I don't want to say MOBA because it doesn't come in waves like that, but the monsters kind of pile up on you. And some folks say maybe it's a sidestep from Zombicide Black Plague, but I think it's kind of a step forward. One of really the only nitpick of Zombicide Black Plague I had was it had a weak campaign system. Massive Darkness, it's not going as far as like Shadow of Brimstone campaign or Descent or any of those, but it is a step up. There's a moderate campaign, a story mode that you can play there, and it's really fun. You take it just like you do all the other Zombicide titles. It's lighthearted, it's fun, and you can just you get a whole group together and just have a bash. So Massive Darkness, good game, and has given me piles and piles of miniatures as if I needed any more. So that would be my highlight. Joe, what's your highlight for the month?
My highlight was Sagrada. We finally were able to find a copy and get it for me by Floodgate Games. Basically, you're building a stained glass window using dice, and the patterns on your stained glass window would dictate whether it has to be by number, by color. You can't put the same color next to each other, but it can be diagonal. It's this puzzle, and by the end of it, you've got a beautiful stained glass window made out of these clear dice. And so it's just aesthetically pleasing, and I love the puzzle aspect of it. So it's definitely one of my favorite games right now.
I want to play it really badly. It's such a pretty game, and there for half a minute I was backing it on Kickstarter, and I don't know why I backed out of it, but I wish now that I wouldn't have. I wish I would have stayed on. But I look forward to playing it very soon.
My highlight for this month is going to be Valletta. And in this one, you're building up the capital city of Malta, and it's kind of got this resource management plus deck building thing going on, because you start with a deck of cards, and as you build your houses out into the city, you gain whatever character card was on that building, and he goes into your deck, and you run through it and do all of that. And the neat thing about this one, I normally kind of rail against this whole take one more turn thing. But this one has that take one more turn, but it's everybody shuffles their deck back into their discard pile once the game end is triggered, and you run through your entire deck. So that last card that you got by building that 8th building and triggering the end of the game, you're actually going to get to use it one time before the game ends. So that last phase was really neat, and it's just a race to victory points. It's a neat light Euro with a couple of things I like: deck building and resource management.
Well, the surprising part on that for me was, even though it was worker placement and deck building, there was a lot of meaty decisions on when do you play that card and cycle out through it. So, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Let's talk about some disappointments then. For me, I acquired a game through Secret Santa a year or two ago. It's a kid's game called Wild Pirates, and it's a board game implementation of essentially trick-taking games, either hearts or spades. At its core, that's really all it is if you took hearts and put a board to it. The thing that got me is that they changed, and Jolene, you and I are both huge fans of trump-taking games, right? What they did, and we just discussed, was they changed a fundamental rule of trick-taking in that the rules as written, if you don't have the card to match what your opponent played, you're mandated to play your trump card. And I don't want to do that, right? I want the option of, maybe holding back and winning later tricks. So I found that just that little tweak really ruined it.
It did.
Otherwise the implementation of the game, it's okay. It's an older game. It's a real old game. And it's for kids, moving a little pirate ship around the board depending on how many tricks that you acquire throughout the hand. That's all fine and dandy, but just changing that one part really messed it up.
Yeah.
I think, if you could house rule it and it would be fine. But it is what it is. And so it was a bit of a disappointment, but no big loss there.
Well, my greatest disappointment for this month was Ninja Turtles: Shadows of the Past.
Oh, okay.
With Ninja Turtles, I grew up on that cartoon, so I expected it to be, more lighthearted and playful, and And it wasn't. I anticipated it to be more than it was.
Mhm.
I mean, you're basically, as any other city crawl, I guess you could call it, you're going out and you're fighting the baddies, or the Foot Clan or the gang members, but you share your pool of dice, which is fine and good. Yeah. I don't know. It was like you were constantly having to say, no, don't put that there, move that. It's almost like it made you alpha game a little bit.
Yep, I can see that.
Just so that I could have a decent turn that turn. I don't know. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be fun and lighthearted and full of action, and it wasn't. So that was a disappointment for me.
Yeah, I can't fault you not liking a mechanic. But I actually really enjoyed it. But it's based thematically on comic books, which are not lighthearted. They're not for kids. So you weren't going to get that unless they based it on the television show.
Right.
Well, one thing that worried me about it, and granted, we only played one scenario, so I'm reserving judgment. We'll play a few more and let me see if my worry is either substantiated or not. But it seemed to me like if the person playing the Foot Clan chose to really stick it to the players,
they could.
The players really wouldn't have much opportunity to find victory. Because the way that you were set up, your objective was to get, I think, 3 guys off the map in certain areas. Mm-hmm. And with the amount of cards that you were being able to pull and the fact that you can see them and kind of plan, really and truly, the way we were set up, if you would have just focused on bum rushing the exits, I don't think we could have caught you.
Yeah, in that first, I tried it in the second one and it didn't work. Mm-hmm. But in the first game that we played, it didn't really dawn on me until 2 or 3 turns in.
Yeah, you don't have to beat us. You got to get off the table.
Got to get off the board right. I was thinking, go kill them, not play objectively. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see how it unfolds. My disappointment for September is going to be Sagrada. And I enjoyed. We played it 2-player.
They're married. I'm not in this.
We played it 2-player, and I enjoyed that game, and I like the dice drafting. That's a neat idea. My disappointment with this game is going to be the solo mode. And we each tried it several times, and then I went out. And I've read a lot of rule books, so I think I understood what I was doing. Mm-hmm. I went out to the BGG forums to see what I was doing wrong, and there were a couple of guys who were like, "Yeah, I beat it all the time." But 9 out of 10 responses on that forum was solo mode's is impossible. Oh, and I just kept doing, and like I said, the people who posted otherwise, they were posting the same kind of scores I got, not even close, right? I mean, that thing smoked me every time I tried it. I'm going to give it a few more goes to see if there is something I'm missing, but I was really disappointed that a game that is that visually appealing and the way you play it solo is actually fun is so insurmountable to overcome and actually be victorious. So that was my disappointment.
But as a multiplayer,
it was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Very nice. Well, those are some of our highlights from the Shelf of Shame for the month of September.
This month, we decided to talk about games that we love, but they never make it off the shelf and onto the table for whatever reason. Chip, what's your first one on the list?
I'm going to tell you, I picked this up about a year ago, maybe a couple years ago, and just fell in love with it. We played it at BGG Con, and that's Gold West by TMG.
Yeah, that's a good
one. It's area control and with a Mancala mechanic for resource management, I guess would be the name of it. And essentially, you're establishing little mines and little mining camps out on the map to bring back copper, gold, and silver, and wood and something else. I can't remember what it is.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. But it's really it's a simple, compact layout. The board does change. The board is laid out with multi-hex tiles that you can arrange when you start the game. So you have some variation there of how the map lays out. Yeah. And then there's a small area that represents, I guess, sort of the boom town, and you can assign people over there for different results. it's really neat. The timer is built in as you place the camps out. Your camps are the timer, and when everybody runs out of camps, it's time to count victory points.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, standard, straightforward Euro. You're looking for victory points. There are no dice, and I just really like it. I feel like the theme is there.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Mancala mechanism. It took us a little bit of getting used to of how to move them, but once you figure that out, it flows very nicely, and there's a lot of planning in that simple little side panel there of with these resources I'm bringing in, which hopper do I want to put them in, because that's going to determine my results later on.
Mm-hmm.
So I just really like the game. I wish we could had some time to get it back to the table.
It's a very clean little Euro game. I really like the building the camps, the little the tents, because you're trying to, every piece of it has a little bit of victory point to it, right? So, you're building out your camps, and if you have the longest strand, or, as you explore, you uncover resources and tiles, and it all fit together so well.
Yes,
so, Gold West is a good one.
Yeah, there's two interesting things that Gold West made me realize. The first is, I don't know if I was in the right headspace or whatever the day that we played that at BGGCon, but typically when I get done with a game and I'm like, I have no idea what just happened, I am never going to play that again. But I don't remember much about the game. I just remember leaving the thing confused as all get out, but knowing that I had fun.
Yeah.
And then the second one is, I'm a fan of Tasty Minstrel games. And, just like every publisher, they put out a number of games that, aren't for me and I'm not interested in, but that's okay because somebody is. But I'll tell you what, when Tasty Minstrel Games puts out a Euro game, I pay attention.
Yeah.
I don't know why it is, but, most of their Euro games hit for me. My first one this month is going to be Shadows over Camelot.
Wow.
And I bet it's been a decade.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I adore that game. I know that it's, you're making poker hands and that's not thematic to some folks or whatever. And the whole, I can't tell you exactly what I have, so I'm low, middle, low, medium, whatever. That's kind of dumb. But I really enjoy the game. It's got the trader thing, but that's neither here nor there in me enjoying the game. I like trying to defend Camelot from all of the different threats that are coming in, the Picts and the Saxons, and then going out on the quests, to get your white swords that you need for victory. It's a great time every time we play it. I can't tell you why we don't play it more. My only thought might be because it fits into that category of a long one. Maybe that's it. But Shadows over Camelot.
It's a good game.
Well, when I was putting this list together, there was two reasons why a game wouldn't hit the table for me. Either it was large and sprawling, so it takes a lot to get it out, or I'm the only one that likes it. So, with that caveat, the first one I think falls into the big and sprawling, and that's Terraforming Mars.
Okay.
I absolutely love this game. Granted, we haven't played it with the corporations. We did it from
the basic.
From the basic. But there's so much to control. You're controlling your hand and what you buy. You're doing, you're terraforming the planet itself. You're putting out oceans. There's just so much, and it's enthralling. And time just passes by, and I don't even realize how long I've been playing because I'm so engrossed in it. So I would love to be able to get Terraforming Mars on the table again. It's been too long.
Yeah. You're not going to get an argument from me. That game is great. And my opinion is that the Shelf of Shame is what is in the way of us playing that game more. I've got that one and a couple other titles that I want back to the table, but I feel guilty because, we're making a concerted effort to do the Shelf of Shame thing.
We're on a quest.
We're making great progress, as you saw. But, right now we need to focus on those games. And so we overlook the ones that we really want to get back to the table. Terraforming Mars is so fun, just so fun. And I want to play it with the unique corporations.
Yep.
Maybe next year,
really add to it.
This just popped in my brain, so we'll have a brainstorming session here on camera. Maybe next year we pick 119 games that we have to play this year.
Okay.
How about we just...
I was thinking maybe we go back to the 10 by 10, but now we got some real favorites we can add.
I think we should go to 5 by 5.
5 by 5.
Let's go 5 by 5.
All right, my next one is going to be. I'm gonna go a lot lighter than I went previously, but it's going to be Vegas Showdown.
Oh yeah, okay. Ding ding ding. That's
man.
We're duping on that one.
Let's be honest. The components in the box are garbage, but it's such a fun game. You know, you're bidding on these various pieces to build out your casino. I really enjoy that one. And we haven't played that. We have, I think, the second printing of it, and we may not have played it since the year we got it. We played it a bunch, and then it hadn't made the table since. I don't know why. It's a quick one. It's a small footprint, whatever. But I'd really like to play Vegas Showdown. Yeah,
that's my second pick right there. You're building a half side. You're building your casino and your hotel on the other side, and competing for generating the most money from your opponents. So really, really cool game. And if you get a chance to play it, definitely check it out.
Well, let's see here. That one.
Which is the one only you like now?
Only.
You got to list one.
You had foreshadowing.
Okay. Only the one. Only I like. Okay. So, y'all are gonna get all of me for this. If it's going to be one that it seems like I'm the one who likes it the most. Not necessarily I'm the only one who likes it, but if there's other choices, you're gonna take it. My second one would be Camp Grizzly. I adore this game. It's you're going back into the 80s where you had the slasher films and you're stuck in this camp and you've got a mass killer running around, and it's fun, it's entertaining. You have to be in the right mindset though. You can't take it too seriously, but it's just so much fun being the counselor and trying to outwit Otis. But it just doesn't get to the table that often, and I really wish it would.
I'm going to tell you now, if we're picking from that genre, I will play Camp Grizzly over Last Friday. So I can say there's a game that comes in under it for me.
Okay.
I wonder if it's not too lighthearted, and maybe that's the reason. I actually enjoy playing it too, but yeah, maybe it's too lighthearted. I was hoping you were going to list something that was just terrible. Right, and then I could be like, we'd gang up on that point and be like, okay, we'll play that game with you. You're going to play Clash of Cultures with us.
No,
yes,
never.
That's right.
That's
never. Never.
I'm going to list one more here since I stole Chip's second there.
You were thinking of another one.
We didn't compare this list, but mine's going to be an abstract strategy game, and the world didn't just end. But it's the Duke.
Okay, yeah.
Basically, after chess. I decided that was a genre I was out of. I have seen people play Go and Link and Yinch and all those games. I almost fall asleep looking at the board. It's just, they're not things that I'm into. But we ran across this one, Chip did, and put it out. And it is chess, but all your dudes have unique ways they move. They have special powers. And then after they move, they flip, and they're going to be a little bit differently. And it just sucked my brain into a place where it wanted to be. And I loved the 2-player confrontational puzzle that game is. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the Duke is a great one. I guess since we kind of stole each other's, I would say Great Western Trail. And that's another one that Joe on the Shelf of Shame is getting in the way.
That was my game of last year.
Yeah, that game, my first playthrough, I had doubts about it, but the second playthrough that we did, I saw what was happening, and I said, okay, I got hours more of this game that I want to get to the table because I've got 3 or 4 different strategies I want to try out. And so, Great Western Trail is definitely another one.
That is a good one. I really enjoyed that one too. I liked it because no matter what they say on the internet, you don't have to be a cowboy.
Yeah,
you don't have to do the cowboy to win. Nope. So, I like that there's multiple ways to take that trophy. Yeah. So,
why don't you finish us off here?
Okay, well, there's another one that D&D adventure board games.
Okay, yeah.
So we've done Temple of Elemental Evil, but I want to get back into another large campaign like that. That's another tough one. Getting to the table is something that is going to encompass several plays over, a month or two if you wanted. So I really would like to get the next box out, which I think is The Legend of Dritz.
I don't know the exact order
Okay.
of them.
I
but
think
yeah.
that's the
Yeah,
next
it
one.
wouldn't matter though. You can play them.
Yeah,
You can play them in any
they're all
order.
independent.
But I think that's the next one slotted, and it's been years since we
at
finished
least
the
a
last
year,
one.
Yeah.
But I'd really like to throw that back down on the table and do the next box.
Yeah, those are fun. Yeah,
Mhm.
those are a lot of fun.
Those are a list of games that we absolutely love, but they hardly ever make it onto our table. Post in the comments below and let us know what your most lonely games are.
Absolutely. Now it's the time you've all been waiting for. Yes, it's time for the Bad Board Game Description Challenge. This is not a description of a bad board game per se, but it is a bad description of a board game. And for those of you that are new to our channel, we have a contest if you can guess the game that I'm describing. If you will be the first person in the comments below to list it. And if you have a Board Game Geek account, just let us know what your account username is, and I will send 100 Geek Gold your way. So this month's installment, do you like cube pushing? Well, you can't, because in this game of developing a host of carnivores and herbivores, the boards are recessed and keep your little cubes, marking your size and population, free from spilling all over the board. So if you know what that game is, just comment down below. Be the first. Send us your BGG username, and I'll send you 100 Geek Gold.
With that wraps up another episode of Roll to Hit Gaming Monthly. This time looking back at September 2017 through the power of editing. You'll see a link at the bottom of your screen, and you'll see it in the description box below that will take you to our blog where Brandon posts some amazing daily content, weekly articles, and tips for what games you might want to put on your table this weekend. So be sure to check that out. Follow us on Facebook. Find us on Twitter. All of those are in the description box below. And for Roll to Hit Gaming, I'm Lucas.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Chip. Don't forget to subscribe.